Welcome. This is my last episode for 2022, so I thought I would do a review of what this year has taught me. Now, this was a year that brought significant changes to my life. I moved to Greece. I started a full-time job with the Ayn Rand Institute. I did a lot of traveling for work. So it's not that I have the most particular breakthrough insights, but these are some things that helped me in having a better life in 22, so I thought I would share with you. So the first insight has to do with my relationship with money. So I had a German teacher when I was a kid, and she used to tell me a phrase that for some reason got stuck to me. I don't remember almost anything from the days I was learning German, but I remember this phrase. She used to say, "Ich habe zu wenig Geld, billig zu kaufen." Ich habe zu wenig Geld, billig zu kaufen. What this means is I have very few money to buy cheap things. What she wanted to say was that when you buy cheap things, then you're not actually saving money, you're wasting money. So I've always been quite frugal, particularly when it comes to other people's money. So this year, when ARI was paying for my trips, I was very, very frugal. I was trying to find as cheap hotels as possible. And the result was that sometimes I had such a bad experience that actually went against how good I could do my job. Arriving in hotels with quite dodgy taxi drivers in weird places, the hotels being completely inhospitable for anyone to have a good night's sleep, particularly if you're not a good sleeper as I am. Traveling with really bad flights or really bad hours to just save some 20, 30 euros. So at some point I thought this cannot go on. So at some point I started spending a bit more on things like with what airlines I travel and where I stay. And here Razi's contribution was very important. So I was at some point for a speaking engagement in the UK, and I was in a hotel which literally there was glass on the floor, literally. And the heating was not working, some things like that. So then Razi was jokingly, he said, haha, I don't even travel to cities where there is no Hilton. So I thought, okay, maybe I'll stick to one particular hotel, and actually I'll also collect points. In the same way, I'm stuck with only one now airline whenever there's a flight, and also I collect points. So spending a bit more on traveling or where I stay means that now traveling is not the chore that used to be. It means that I can travel a bit more, I can sleep a bit better on my travel, which means that the day after I do a better job when I have to talk. So the first lesson is that frugality is not necessarily a virtue, and sometimes the less money you spend, the more money you have to spend elsewhere. So 2022 taught me it's good to have some standards in some particular areas in your life. So for example, clothes is another important thing. I bought a cheap suit. I wore it literally 2-3 times. It was almost unusable. On the other side, you buy, let's say, from Marks and Spencer, particularly clothes that touch your skin, you cannot go wrong. Or I paid once an amount of money, which I think it's ridiculously overpriced, for these headphones, but these headphones made my traveling way more productive. I listen to audibles in the airplane, or I can watch a movie and relax. You just put them on and they work. So sometimes you spend a bit more, but your productivity goes up, the quality of your life goes up. So frugality is not always a virtue. It's a contextual virtue. I still consider myself frugal, particularly when others are paying, but hey, sometimes you get what you pay for. That was the first insight. The second insight is a bit darker. And the second insight from 2022 is that the vast majority, actually not the vast majority, many people out there are not good at their job. Now, this is going to sound snob. This is going to sound aristocratic, but it's a fact. So this is not to scorn people. This is just to say you need to take this into accordance when you go on your everyday life. That you need to take into accordance, you have to be ready that many people will not be good at their job. So how I came up to this realization, you've probably seen that it almost became a meme on Twitter that there was a pair of scissors, and in the packet of the scissors, it was impossible to open it without having already scissors. So the point was, you're selling me something which, to even open and use it, I need to have the object to begin with. And Harry Binswanger, also in HBL letter, has many times commented on how many things around us today are created, produced, constructed in a way which shows a complete lack of interest for their quality. Or I remember it also became a meme on Twitter, these food packages that say slice here, and 9 out of 10 times it's impossible to slice. Or now we've reached the next level, there's not even a peel here, or how it's called. And I wonder, for this product to go out, there's a number of people who are involved, the people who create it, the people who oversee the production, the person who is in charge of that company. And you wonder, none of these people actually scratch their head saying, wait a minute, something here does not look good. Or don't they use these products? Now you'll say, okay, this is such a first world problem, Nikos. I can't believe that this was one of your insights in 2022. But here's why this is not only a first world problem, and this is where this becomes very, very serious. Low standards are something that get embedded in a culture. So here's an experience that shows to you why it's not so, it's not just about how you peel off a stupid package. So this year, a family member had a persistent health issue. Luckily, not life-threatening, likely not catastrophic. But it was a health issue that had considerable effect on their quality of life. So that person went to numerous doctors. And what was surprising for the vast majority of them was the sloppiness with which they dealt with his case. Now, of course, I'm not a doctor. I cannot judge how they dealt in terms of the technical scientific details. But from the type of questions they've asked him, in the way they treated him, it's very clear that they were not really interested in what was happening. They didn't even have the professional curiosity to figure out, to say, hey, this guy has gone to already 12, 15 doctors, because I'm talking about this type of numbers, or he has done this a number of tests. Let me scratch my head a bit and think, what could be this? And I'm talking about state doctors, because quite often he had an emergency that he had to rush to the equivalent of accidents and emergencies, but also then he would go also to private doctors. So this is not just a problem that will be solved by privatizing healthcare. So my main issue there was the epistemology, let's say, of the doctors. And again, a sloppiness, something which was, well, it's probably this. Not asking the right questions, not asking the whole history, not going through the case in an inductive way, not asking, when did it start? What did you see? So it mostly was, okay, 10 minutes, it's probably this or it's probably nothing. Okay, give me the money and you leave. And again, it's not a coincidence that so many people approach it this way. And obviously, again, I'm not judging the medical verdict, which in retrospect, it was not accurate, but I'm judging the approach. I'm judging the way that you deal with that topic. Or again, to go to a more first world problem issue, I remember going to a gym that since then, luckily for all of us, it closed, it shut down. But it was so obvious that there were so many things that were dirty, that they were not good. And I thought, people who work here, okay, let's say the owner doesn't care, but people who work here, don't they feel that there's something that could be improved? that I'm going to leave this place a bit better than I found it. Anyway, this reminded me a line, by the way, in Atlas Shrugged, in one of the early chapters where Francisco talks to Dagny, and he says a line that when I first read it, I was like, okay, that's clearly an exaggeration by Rand. He can't really mean it. That's taking it too far. But I will read it to you and I will let you judge whether she takes it too far. Dagny, says Francisco, there's nothing of any importance in life except how well you do your work. Nothing, only that. Whatever else you are will come from that. It's the only measure of human value. And when I read that, I thought, well, come on, wait a minute. There are way more things about one's value rather than from how they do their work. But through time, I understand what this means. It means that the way you do one thing is how you do many things. So I'm sure that the person who is sloppy on their thinking in one area, or they don't care to improve or to be good in one particular area of their life, odds are they will be like that in all areas of their life. So my second big insights from 2020, be prepared that most people will not be good at their jobs. Particularly if you travel a lot and you go to many hotels, you will see what I mean. I told you my experience with that hotel, which literally had glass on the floor. I've been in hotels where it's impossible to wash your hands because the size of the positioning of the sink is very weird. And again, you think there's an architect who did this, a technician who executed it, and a hotel manager who okayed it, and a hotel owner who probably at some point they've seen it. And they all said, okay, who cares? So this is not me being snob. This is just me drawing the conclusion that we live in times where standards are low, and this means that you should put extra effort in judging for yourself. And again, you cannot judge, let's say, your doctor, but you can judge their approach in the way they think. And my third insight from 2022, and this will probably going to be the shortest episode of the year, but yesterday in the yearly awards, I praised the virtue of brevity. So I'll be laconic and it's going to be a short episode. So the third insight from 2022 is on how to become better on some particular area of your life. So in 2022, I realized that motivation is overrated. You can listen and you can consume all the motivating material in the world. It's definitely better than consuming garbage, but in itself will do little. The key does not stand in motivation. The key stands in systems, in developing particular systems. In other words, in developing particular habits. So I've spoken about the book Atomic Habits. I've spoken about the importance of creating habits, because when you create a habit, what actually happens is you reinforce, you cast votes for the person you want to be. So every single time you go to the gym, you cast a vote on the ballot box that says, I want to be a healthy person. And it doesn't matter if you miss a day here and there. What matters is that now your identity is that I am this type of person. So consistent action creates the consistency of character. So my biggest insight was that in order to create a habit, it's very difficult. So I've had many habits that I tried to create in 2022, but I failed. One example is meditation. At least 3 times in 2022, I tried to get in a streak of meditating, but I failed. I'll keep trying perhaps in 2023. However, a habit that I succeeded was to post more on social media. So I post daily on Twitter, and for Twitter, it was my best year. And I try to every day to post either a short video on TikTok or a short video on YouTube. Usually they are the same because different people follow me in the one, different people follow in the other. So when it comes to create positive change, the most crucial thing is make it easy, make it accessible. The simplest example is you want to drink a lot of water. Water needs to be here. Today I was having a chat not a chat, an actual official meeting, let's say, with my line manager in the Ayn Rand Institute. And we were discussing about how important is a whiteboard. And she told me, why don't you use a whiteboard? And I said, oh, I have one, but it's a small one and it's at the back of the kitchen. So she said, no, you have to buy a big one and put it in front of you. So here we go back to insight number one. This might cost a lot of money, but I'm going to spend this money once, and this is going to be so useful because you are lacking the context of our discussion, but for the things that we discussed, a whiteboard is actually going to be very, very useful. So one, don't be frugal with things that can make you more productive. And number two, make it easy. I'll have it here, so it will be in front of me. So everything I do, I will, how it's called, not delete it. I will cross it off my list, which also gives you a satisfaction, crossing off something on your list. Now you're going to ask, why? Can you walk 5 seconds and cross it off your list in the kitchen? What can I tell you? The answer is no. I mean, I can do it, but the fact is I didn't do it. So make good habits easy. Let me give you another example. In early 2022, when I was still living at my family's house, because I had just moved back from the UK, I wanted to start jiu-jitsu. So my two options was a friend who was doing one-on-one somewhere in the center of Athens. This was a mini trip for me. Or the jiu-jitsu school where he was training, which was something like 30 minutes drive, and then another 10 minutes, depending on where I would park. Now, you realize I went there 2-3 times. That was it. I couldn't do it. Fast forward, when I moved here, I joined a boxing school. Now, boxing was not my first choice. My first choice was jiu-jitsu. There was no jiu-jitsu around, so I said, I will do boxing. And so I made it easy. It's 20 minutes walk or 5 minutes drive. And to make it even easier, I bundle it together, which is something that Atomic Habits say. Habits bundle. Bundle your habits together. So I bundle it together with my gym. So I do my boxing training, and then the gym is literally 20 seconds away, 20 seconds walk. So they're on the same road. And that's a good gym, not that horrible gym I told you earlier. So by making it easy, this habit of going to my training and then working out is very easy. When life is already complicated enough, if I have to drive 35 minutes to join a dojo, that wouldn't work. So you don't change merely by being motivated. You change by having good habits. And the way to create good habits is to make them easy. Okay, so these are the 3 insights from 2022. I would be very interested to know what are your biggest takeaways from the year. So many thanks to Marilyn for your super chat. You are definitely the best member of our community in terms of your support. So the biggest contributor of 2022. And thank you very much for that. And also a big thank you to everyone else, to those of you who comment often, to those of you who are posting on social media, who are retweeting, who are liking, and all that stuff. Know that it's highly appreciated. So that's all from 2022. Again, this is the last episode for me for 2022. I'll be back hopefully in the first weeks of January. Many thanks also to Bonnie for your super chat. And upcoming show, 7 p.m. UK time, we have the Fountainhead Book Club with Susanna, open to members of ARC UK, and the session will be live streamed to YouTube members. So I will leave you with this. Whenever I'm at a family table, my go-to wish in a special occasion is, in Greek, it's called apades parodes. It means everyone should be present whenever we meet again. So this is my wish for 2023, that everyone will be here, present, and healthy. We have the best ideas, so we don't need anything else. If we're healthy and if we're here, there's nothing to worry about. Thank you so much for your support in 2022. And here's also big thank you to the Ayn Rand Center UK for giving me this stage. And here's to a great 2023 for you, your families, and your beloved ones. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.